passport being a OVD non-Aadhaar document, that the Aadhaar validation process had to be done for NRIs as well. You have to go through the validation process through Aadhaar. If you have your Aadhaar available with you, it shouldn't, again, as I said, won't take more than 5 minutes. I think the regulator heard the voice from the industry, the pain the NRIs were going through, and that's why the relaxation is coming. They have actually put in these additional 4 requirements, and these 4 requirements need to be completed by every investor to ensure that the KYC status is validated, which will ensure seamless transactions capability for each of the investor in the markets. So for the new customers, generally there don't seem to be too much of hassles, because you'll understand, any building a fresh building is easier than actually renovating it. There are 4 additional steps. While it sounds complicated, it's actually not. It's all online provisions available, which you can actually use to do all of this on a Saturday. Get up, take 5 minutes, finish it off, and you'll be done with it. There's nothing much to do.
Welcome to Money Skills by Scripbox. I'm Archana Nair, and today we are here to explore recent developments in mutual fund regulations, specifically concerning KYC procedures. As of October 12, 2023, SEBI mandated that all mutual fund investors must link their PAN with Aadhaar by 31st March 2024. Failure to comply would result in the investor's KYC status being marked as on hold starting April 1, 2024. However, SEBI intervened with amendments to these guidelines on May 14, 2024, offering relief to the affected investors. Today, we'll break down these changes in a clear and concise manner, helping you understand their impact on your mutual fund investments. Let's begin. Today on the show, we're excited to have Mr. Vishal Agrawal, Vice President Operations at Scripbox. He's going to share the experience of working with our customers and some advice on KYC. So, Vishal, let's begin.
Glad to be here to discuss about these new changes on the KYC front.
Perfect. So start, can you give us a brief overview of these recent changes in KYC that became applicable on the 1st of April 2024?
Sure. So there have been a few changes which have been done by the regulator in the last few months, not just on 1st April. So one is, as you mentioned in your intro, the PAN and Aadhaar linking has to be done by the customers or the investors in the income tax database. The additional requirement which came was on the name and date of birth in the KRA, which means the KYC registration agency database has to be 100% match with the income tax database. The third is the contact details updated in the KRA database has to be validated, which basically means it has to be verified that these are valid contact details, which means phone, mobile number and email ID. And the fourth is your name and address has to be verified with the source data, which specifically has to be Aadhaar.
That's a lot of verification and validation. So can you just tell me, what is this KYC validation?
So as I said, these 4 requirements which have come in additionally needs to be completed by each investor. Earlier, the KYC was simple, based on certain documents, which was basically PAN and certain other proof of address documents. The customer could have completed the KYC. But SEBI, in terms of making the process a lot more foolproof and to ensure that all the other details of the customers are also verified and pakka in the records, they have actually put in these additional 4 requirements. And these 4 requirements need to be completed by every investor to ensure that the KYC status is validated, which will ensure seamless transactions capability for each of the investor in the markets.
So what is the difference between this KYC validated status and KYC registered status?
So again, coming back to the same 4 additional requirements: PAN and Aadhaar linking, PAN and date of birth, 100% match with the income tax database, the source data, which is name and address validation as per Aadhaar, and the contact detail verifications. Now, some of these customers are not able to do all the 4 points. If they are not able to complete each and every point, then the KYC status will not become validated. Now, again, there are few things which, if they complete, now, if the validation of contact details is completed and the PAN is valid and operative, the customer's KYC status could be registered. PAN and Aadhaar linking, if it is not done, and say the date of birth and name on the PAN database is not completely matching, these are cases which will actually go to the status of KYC on hold. Now, basis some relaxation which has recently come on 14th of May, some of this can actually be done away with, and the KYC status would become registered instead of on hold for these customers, which means they could actually transact in the markets. And we can talk about it a lot more in detail because there is each step has a specific nuance to it. If you do something, it becomes registered. If you do something additionally, it becomes validated. If you don't do something, it becomes on hold.
Really, there's a lot of things to learn then. So, I just want to ask you, how do these KYC registration agencies validate these email IDs and phone numbers?
Okay, so each KRA, they already have the contact details of the customers. What they simply do is they will send an email to the registered email ID. They will send a SMS to the registered mobile number. If these messages and the emails get delivered, they are considered as valid, and so it's considered that the contact detail is validated.
Right.
In case they do not get delivered, then this process is not supposed to be completed from their end. What in that case they'll do is they will actually reach out to the partners who have actually done the KYC for these customers, the distributors or the brokers, and tell them that these customers, we have not been able to do the contact details validations. Additionally, they have also created links for on their websites. So the customers who have for whose contact details have not been validated, they can actually use these links and complete the validation on their own behest by actually doing the validation through a OTP process. So OTP on their email and OTP on the phone number, and the same process will be considered as validated.
Perfect. So, what common problems do these customers face with this KYC validation process?
So the biggest problem in this is customers have not updated their contact details in the KRA database. Now, because the contact details is not updated, the process of validation will obviously not get completed by the KRA or the customer. So the solution to that is the customer has to approach and get their contact details updated. If they get their contact details updated, the process will actually get done. The other problem that happens typically, and in few cases we have obviously observed it, is there are these network issues in the overall telecom industry, which basically means when the KRAs actually try to get the email or the SMS delivered, it doesn't get delivered for some reason. So in that case also the KRAs won't be able to validate the contact details, and in such cases also the customer will have to do it. But KRAs have made it quite easy by actually providing these links on their websites where the customer can do it, and it's a very simple process because the OTPs come and they can just validate it through the OTPs.
So, what should these customers expect once their KYC is validated?
KYC is validated means everything is fine and you can do seamless transactions in the markets. That's the best thing for an investor. No problems, at least on the KYC front.
So, Vishal, can you just let me know what is the ideal process for any new investors to complete their KYC?
So for a first-time investor in the markets who has not really completed the KYC, it's a simple process and the customer can actually do it online. These KRA agencies, the KYC registration agencies, also have on their websites an online process. Similarly, most of the mutual fund companies also support this through their websites. The customer needs a valid PAN, Aadhaar, and then there is an in-person verification because it's an online process. So there is an in-person verification process through a video KYC. Mm-hmm. And then the e-sign process happens. And based on that, the KYC can be completed. It can be completed in a matter of 5 minutes, I guess. So it won't take any real long time. You just need to have your PAN and Aadhaar available with you.
Okay, just wanted to know, how has the experience been of the customers? I know you would have spoken to customers. Customers might reach out to your team. So how has the experience been for the customers who are doing this online?
So for the new customers, generally there don't seem to be too much of hassles because you'll understand building a fresh building is easier than actually renovating it. So for a new customer, having the PAN and the Aadhaar, and assuming that the PAN Aadhaar linking and all is done in the income tax website anyways, so all of that, it shouldn't be a problem. It's more of a issue with the existing investor who has to take certain additional steps to ensure that the KYC status is up to date.
Okay. When you said the existing investor, I remember there's something called as non-OVD documents. So can you just shed some light on that? What are these non-OVD documents?
Yes. So earlier the KYC process involved the PAN, as I said, is mandatory, and then there were a list of OVD documents, which is officially verified documents as per the PMLA rules, which
Okay.
is Prevention of Money Laundering rules. As per that, the driving license, passport, voter ID card, and there are a couple more documents which are part of the document checklist as officially verified documents. The customer or an investor could also use something like a bank statement or a utility bill to complete the KYC. If they have done the KYC through any of these documents, they are considered as non OVD documents. So earlier the KYC could have been done also through non OVD documents. Now, uh, as I said, one of the new requirements which has come in is you have to verify the name and the address through the source document, which is Aadhaar. So one of the new requirements is if you have done your KYC through non OVD documents or a non Aadhaar OVD document. So, as I said, if you have done through passport, voter ID card, or driving license and not through Aadhaar, then also you have to go through the validation process through Aadhaar, which means again links are available on the KRA websites where you have to log in, put in your PAN, and then validate your KYC again through Aadhaar.
Okay. Oh my God. So that's a lot to do.
It's not. It actually sounds complicated, but it's not really. These links are quite simple and very it's quite easy to understand what needs to be done step by step. And if you have your Aadhaar available with you, it shouldn't, again, as I said, won't take more than 5 minutes.
You've given me a lot of documents and all those things. Can you just I want you to just repeat for the viewers at least or the listeners who what are these OVD documents? Which are those specific OVD documents that are considered for these KYC purposes?
So KYC typically used to be PAN plus proof of address. Proof of address typically means either a passport, driving license, voter ID card, or proof of possession of Aadhaar. There are a couple of documents like a Manrega card and pension, which typically are government issued cards. All of these could have been used to complete the KYC in the past. So a lot of customers who have done KYC have done the KYC based on these documents. And as I said, the new requirement mandates that they have to validate their current KYC with the source data of Aadhaar. So anybody who has done the KYC with any other document other than Aadhaar needs to validate their KYC through the Aadhaar process, and that can be done through the KRA websites. The links are available for the customer.
Okay, so I'm also an existing customer who's investing. So I had done my KYC long back, and I'm not sure if it's OVD document or non-OVD. So how do you think our existing customers like me can do
It's very simple,
the
Archana. Reach
KYC?
out to Scripbox. And Scripbox, based on your PAN number, Scripbox can actually check the status for you and get back to you. If it's actually an instant thing for Scripbox to check, and if we are able to check your status as validated, you don't need to do anything. If your status is registered or on hold, then we'll actually tell you what needs to be done additionally.
Okay, and can this be done online?
Absolutely. All
That's
of this
wonderful.
can be done online.
That's really good to hear because a lot of things.
No, so SEBI has been quite, I think, upfront on this, and they have tried to make the ease of, as part of their initiative on ease of doing business for investors. Most of these processes actually can be done online, and this is mandated by SEBI, and that's why all the KRA agencies, our mutual fund companies, even distributors and brokers, they are all actually supporting this.
Hmm, okay. Now, you've made it very clear that a customer has to have Aadhaar, which is very crucial. Now, that comes up with another question that now I'm coming up with another question with that. How is this PAN and Aadhaar linking possible? How does a customer go ahead and link his PAN with Aadhaar?
Sure. So PAN and Aadhaar linking process is actually quite simple. You just have to go to the income tax portal website. Go there, on the left hand side, you will get an option of link Aadhaar. You just have to put your Aadhaar and link it. That's it.
Okay.
There's nothing much to be done. And this is not just a SEBI requirement, it's actually an industry requirement even to file your taxes. PAN Aadhaar linking is mandated from that perspective.
What happens as an investor if I don't link my PAN with Aadhaar?
So, before the relaxation came on 14th May, if you had not linked your PAN and Aadhaar, your KYC status would have been on hold. Further, as of now, based on the 14th May circular issued by SEBI, the relaxation is that it will not go on hold, but it will go to a status called KYC registered.
All right, so then I'm allowed to invest.
You are allowed to invest, yes. As a resident investor, which means a resident Indian, based on KYC registered status, you can invest, but only in mutual fund companies where you already have invested. You will not be able to invest in mutual fund companies where you have not invested in the past. However, that differs for non-resident Indians. Non-resident Indians with the KYC registered status are free to invest in existing or new mutual fund companies.
Perfect, Vishal. That was my next question, actually, on the non-resident Indians. But I wanted to know what I know. There are a lot of non-resident Indian investors in mutual fund, and that's a lot of money coming in as well. So, what specific challenges do NRIs face due to this KYC validation process?
So NRIs typically have been facing couple of issues. One is, as I said, Aadhaar has become a kind of a mandatory document. Most of the NRIs have completed their KYC based on passport. Passport being a OVD non-Aadhaar document means that the Aadhaar validation process had to be done for NRIs as well. The second issue was that contact details validation was mandatory. Now, while the NRI's email ID could be validated by the KRA, or if KRA doesn't do it, by the customer himself or herself, the challenge comes for their mobile number. Most of the NRIs don't have an Indian mobile number, which means the KRAs will not be able to deliver a SMS, and hence they would consider the validation as failed. Similarly, even the customer will not be able to validate it because they don't have an Indian mobile number. So these two challenges were absolutely on the face for all NRI customers, and that prevented them from investing.
I think the easier way would be to add the validation for the NRI number.
So that's one suggestion, and I'm sure the industry is looking into it. However, based on this 14th May circular, there's a specific relaxation for NRIs, which basically means Aadhaar validation for NRIs for now is something which is a relaxation given. Second, and a major relief, which is not just for NRIs but also for resident Indians, is the validation of contact details has become either or instead of and. That typically means that of the two modes, phone number as well as email ID, earlier both had to be validated. Only then the contact detail validation process was assumed as complete. Now SEBI has made it either or. If you are able to validate even one mode, that's good enough. So from a NRI perspective, they can validate the email ID, and because the Aadhaar validation is right now on not mandatory, their KYC status instead of on hold would be registered. And as I said, KYC registered status ensures that NRIs can seamlessly invest in existing or new AMCs.
Okay. So while before the relaxation came in, definitely there would be some kind of issues that the NRIs would have faced, especially during the transaction processing. So can you just give us an example?
So basically all NRIs had a typical problem wherever they were not able to complete this process. Existing AMCs, they were able to invest. No problems there. But any new investments with a new AMC, you had to give fresh KYC documents for every transaction. Now you'll understand that's an extremely tedious process, especially for an NRI. So most of the transactions, because this KYC documents were not being provided, were getting rejected. And I think the regulator heard the voice from the industry, the pain the NRIs were going through, and that's why the relaxation is coming.
Okay. I'm sure you've handled a lot of complaints from the NRIs then.
Oh, absolutely. The NRI customers as well as our sales team.
I think this would improve your CSAT scores very soon.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Now let's talk about the SEBI's revised circular that we've been talking about throughout this show. So what are the updates introduced in the SEBI's revised circular on May 14th?
So as I said, we go back to the 4 additional steps. Now these 4 additional steps Few of them are mandatory. Now, what is mandatory? You need to have your valid PAN, that's a given. Apart from the valid PAN, you need to ensure that the name and date of birth in the KRA database is 100% match with the income tax database. These two are absolutely mandatory, no relaxation there. Now, there were 3 additional steps. One was PAN Aadhaar linking, the other was the source data validation through the Aadhaar database, and the third was the contact details validation. Now, contact details validation, I've already mentioned, it's become either or instead of and for both the modes. So you can do either one of the validations. PAN and Aadhaar linking, if you have not done, there is some relaxation there. And source data validation, if you have not done, there is some relaxation there. So anybody who has completed the first two and at least one mode of contact details validation, either email or phone, they in a way can invest in the industry. Their KYC will not go on hold, they will be KYC registered. And as I said, KYC registered can invest in existing AMCs or mutual fund companies and not in the new mutual fund company for resident Indians. And for NRIs, it's absolutely fine. They can invest in. So that's the basic relaxation which SEBI has given.
So, Vishal, you've given me a lot of information around KYC validation. So, to wrap up, let's summarize the key takeaway for our listeners. So, what are the key takeaways for investors from these recent changes in KYC? What are the key points that they should remember?
So, it's simple. There are 4 additional steps. While it sounds complicated, it's actually not. You just need to ensure that it's a one-time process, complete it and be done with it so that you are seamlessly investing in the markets without any hassles. Please ensure you have a valid and active PAN. Please ensure that the PAN and Aadhaar in the income tax database are linked. Please ensure that the name and date of birth in your KRA records and in the income tax database records are 100% match. Please ensure your contact details are up to date and then validated. And then the source data should be validated through Aadhaar. And most of us now have Aadhaar. I can't think of anybody who's not having Aadhaar. So use your Aadhaar and update the details in the KYC and you are through. As I said, it sounds complicated. It doesn't really. It's all online provisions available which you can actually use to do all of this on a Saturday. Get up, take 5 minutes, finish it off and you'll be done with it. And in case you're not sure of what your KYC status is, as I said, please reach out to Scripbox. We'll be more than happy to help. You can just give your PAN number and we'll be able to instantly check the status and let you know.
Okay. Thanks, Vishal. I think that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you, Vishal, for joining us, and it was really wonderful talking with you.
It was a pleasure. I hope this really helps the investors in the markets to actually get their KYC status sorted. And yeah, happy investing.
That brings us to the end of this episode. Thanks to Vishal Agrawal for joining us today. If you have any questions, please get in touch with us in the comment section and we'll be happy to answer any questions related to the KYC. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please like, subscribe and share. See you next week for a new episode.